There's no nation on the planet more people ridicule and fear at the same time than North Korea. That's because no one really knows at any given time if leadership there should be seen as a band of nuclear-tipped clowns who seek to jab people in the eye with explosive sticks. At the GOP debate this weekend, leading candidate Donald Trump dropped an interesting liner about North Korea and China that made a lot of sense, and maybe needs to be something every candidate taps into as it affects national security and the global economy. Plenty more to dig into. Let's welcome back the veteran economist, national columnist, and University of Maryland professor of business, Peter Morici, joined by the nationally recognized small business expert and New York Times best-selling author, Susan Solovic. I want to thank you both for joining us. And Peter, I'm going to come to you right off the bat here. Donald Trump said something about China. North Korea is launching missiles. They're putting satellites on top of new rockets. Of course, that's something we see all the time. But he said, quote, about China, they have total absolute control practically of North Korea. Is he right that if you're going to go after North Korea, start with China and don't go anyplace else?
Well, China bears the greatest responsibility in all of this. It's really up to China to do something about North Korea before we act, unless they take a hostile action towards Japan or to us or South Korea.
So, Susan, let's go ahead and look at the economic side of things, because Donald Trump has always been after China. He said, I'm going to go after them. I'm going to make them pay. I'm going to drop tariffs on them. Again, though, looking at what he proposes, is it even possible to go after China economically at the kind of level that a Donald Trump wants to?
I think it would be really tough right now, given the strength of the dollar in other countries and what China is doing. But, here's the thing. I'm really tired of being a wimp. I'm tired of the U.S. being a wimp. China needs to step up to the plate and do something about North Korea. And if anybody wants to believe either one of those two countries, then we're just stupid. If we're sitting back and letting North Korea send missiles in that they say for peaceful and scientific reasons, come on, who's buying that bag of goods? We need to go to China and say either do it or there will be repercussions, or we're going to step in and do it ourselves.
All right, Peter, let's come back to you. Janet Yellen is going to appear before the House Financial Services Committee at 10 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday. The Senate Banking Committee is the next day. And there's a lot of people talking about the fact that we do not expect her to throw the towel in on a March rate hike. What do you think Yellen's going to do this time around?
I think she's going to dance, that she won't throw the towel in on a rate hike, but she will indicate that it is unlikely by recognizing conditions in the broader economy. She just doesn't want to give up her options until she has to, which is a very reasonable posture for a Federal Reserve chair to take. Greenspan certainly would have done the same thing at this moment. The real question is, does she have a grasp of exactly what's going on beyond the Potomac? How consequential the strong dollar is, what it's doing to manufacturing. She comes from those academic institutions where the only thing they really ever manufacture is memoranda and trouble.
All right, now, Susan, what about those consequences? And let's bring this down to the small business individual sitting here in America. Janet Yellen comes in, says, let's go ahead, let's hike it up a little bit more. What's going to be the consequences?
Well, we have already seen the consequences. Access to capital for small businesses has really dried up. It's almost impossible to get any money to grow your business unless you don't need it, and then you can get plenty. But the problem is that the number of small business closures is exceeding the number of small business startups. That has happened for the first time since the Census Bureau has been calculating that information. And what we're seeing now is even corporate profits are going down, corporate sales are going down, and small businesses who aren't sitting on a stack of cash, they've already been stifled and suffocated by hyper-regulation in this administration. We're not going to be able to survive. And if she raises interest rates again and she isn't looking at these important economic indicators, then she's going to have to see what happens in the economy, and we're going to continue to fall faster into another recession.
I got about 60 seconds left. Here's 30 seconds for both of you. Susan, I'll start with you on this one. And this comes back down to the candidates that we're watching. Left, right, independent, makes no difference whatsoever. Which one candidate, in your opinion, is best suited and knows about the economy and is able then to run it as the chief executive?
Well, it's definitely not Bernie Sanders, let me tell you that. But I would bet on Carly Fiorina. I know she's probably sort of out of it now, but I tell you what, that woman understands business, and she would shake things up, and she would take it seriously, and she'd get us on the right track.
All right, Peter, I come to you then with about 30 seconds left, and I know that you're not an entire fan, if you will, of Carly Fiorina.
No, I'm not, so I'll just let that one go by, although she is a graduate of my program, so I have some knowledge. But I guess Donald Trump, at the end of the day, you know, if you look at what he has to say on trade, and you look at his website and his actual position, it's very reminiscent of Mitt Romney. Across the board, as Jimmy Carter says, and endorsing Trump, at least he's malleable. The others are not. They're ideologues, and I don't believe that they would give us much different than what George W. gave us, and I certainly don't want to replay that.
All right, we'll leave that for another day. Susan Solovic, Peter Morici, thank you so much for joining us, and we will come back and we will continue to look at this as we move forward. All right.